The crimson skies of prison planet K7 seemed to mock Commander Reyna Voss as she stood at the viewport of her fortified sanctuary. Her silver-scaled skin caught the dying light of the setting sun, a reminder of her Selenian heritage that once commanded respect across the Galactic Alliance. Now it marked her as an outcast among the condemned. The fortress she called home was carved into the face of Mount Terminus, the highest peak on this desolate world. Below, the sprawling wasteland stretched endlessly, dotted with the ramshackle settlements of K7's inhabitants, the galaxy's most dangerous criminals, exiled beings, and those deemed too dangerous for conventional prisons. Reyna's fingers traced the ceremonial markings on her arm, now faded but still visible, symbols of her former rank as commander of the stellar peacekeeping force. 5 years had passed since her exile, but the memory of her fall remained sharp as a plasma blade. Commander Voss, her AI companion, NOVA, interrupted her thoughts. Perimeter sensors detect movement in Sector 7. "Show me," Reyna commanded, her voice carrying the authority that had once led armies. A holographic display materialized, showing a group of scavengers approaching the boundary of her territory. They quickly retreated upon seeing the warning beacons. Her reputation preceded her. The incident stirred memories of the day everything changed. She'd have been leading an operation on Centauri Prime, investigating rumors of illegal genetic experimentation. Her team had discovered a facility hidden beneath the capital city, filled with horrifying evidence of forbidden research. But before they could report their findings, everything went wrong. The explosion that destroyed the facility was blamed on her reckless leadership. The deaths of her team members were laid at her feet. The Galactic Council, led by Admiral Thane, had already reached their verdict before the trial began. But only Reyna knew the truth. The facility had been sanctioned by high-ranking officials within the Alliance itself. She had been given a choice: accept exile to K7 or face execution. More importantly, they had threatened to target her homeworld if she revealed what she had discovered. So she chose silence and exile, carrying the burden of truth alone. The fortress had become both her prison and sanctuary. The other inhabitants of K7 learned quickly to respect her boundaries. Those who didn't became cautionary tales. Yet it wasn't her combat prowess or tactical brilliance that kept them at bay. It was the cold emptiness they saw in her eyes, the look of someone with nothing left to lose. "Incoming transmission," NOVA announced. Origin: restricted. Reyna's spine stiffened. In 5 years, she had received only 3 such transmissions, each bringing worse news than the last. Decrypt and display. The message was brief. Project Phoenix rises. They're continuing the work. Our clawed hands clenched, leaving deep scratches in the metal console. Project Phoenix, the very thing she had discovered on Centauri Prime. Not just genetic experimentation, but something far worse, an attempt to create weapons using forbidden ancient technology merged with living subjects. NOVA, access the secure archives. Show me the original facility schematics. As the AI compiled the data, Reyna moved to her weapons vault. Inside, she ran her fingers over her ceremonial armor, untouched since her arrival. Beside it lay her personal weapon, the stellar blade, a symbol of her command, its energy core still humming with power. "Commander," Nenova's voice carried an unusual note of concern. "I'm detecting unusual activity in the upper atmosphere. Multiple ships entering K7's space." "Military?" Reyna asked, already knowing the answer. "Negative. Configuration unknown, but they're not following standard arrival protocols." Reyna closed her eyes, feeling the weight of her past pressing down. Something was coming, something connected to the secrets she had buried. But this time, she wouldn't face it alone. "Activate all defense systems," she commanded, reaching for her armor, and NOVA, initiate Protocol Omega. "Commander, Protocol Omega was designed as a last resort. It will reveal your location, too." "I know what it does." Reyna cut in, her voice sharp. "They're coming anyway. This time, I choose the battlefield." As she donned her armor, each piece clicking into place like old friends reuniting, Reyna felt a familiar surge of purpose. The marking on her arm began to glow faintly, a reminder of the oath she had taken to protect the innocent, no matter the cost. The fortress came alive around her, defense systems powering up, hidden weapons emerging from concealed ports. On her command deck, displays showed multiple ships entering K7's atmosphere, their descent creating trails of fire against the darkening sky. "They're heading for the outer ruins," NOVA reported. Estimated time to surface contact, 10 minutes. Reyna activated her blade, its energy field humming to life with a familiar blue glow. "Then we have 9 minutes to prepare our welcome." As she stepped onto her command deck, the last rays of K7's sun caught her armor, creating an almost ethereal effect. In that moment, she wasn't the exile, the fallen commander, or the keeper of dark secrets. She was simply a warrior preparing for battle, with the weight of the galaxy once again resting on her shoulders. The ships drew closer, their purpose still unknown, but their threat clear. Whatever was coming, whatever secrets were about to be unveiled, Reyna Voss stood ready. The time for hiding was over. The galaxy would soon remember why she had been both respected and feared. And somewhere, in the depths of space, ancient forces stirred, drawn to the coming conflict like moths to a flame. The game was about to change, and K7 would never be the same. The escape pod tore through K7's atmosphere like a meteor, leaving a trail of blazing debris in its wake. Amidst the chaos of the mysterious ship's arrival, this smaller craft had gone almost unnoticed. Almost, but not by Reyna's sophisticated detection systems. Impact in Sector 12, NOVA reported. Structural integrity at 43%. Life signs detected, singular and faint. Reyna paused in her preparations, her attention drawn to the surveillance feed. The pod had crashed in the Crimson Valley, a treacherous region where the planet's most aggressive predators hunted. No ordinary prisoner dared venture there, which made it perfect for her purposes. "Show me the life sign analysis," she commanded. The data that appeared before her made her scales ripple with surprise. A child. The bio-readings were clear. The pod's occupant was young, likely no more than 8 standard years old. But what caught Reyna's attention was the unusual energy signature accompanying the vital signs. It was hauntingly familiar, reminiscent of the readings she had discovered in the facility on Centaur Prime. "The approaching ships have altered course," NOVA announced. "They're converging on the crash site." Reyna's jaw tightened. Whatever was happening, she couldn't allow them to reach the pod first. "Deploy the Mark 7 speeder." And NOVA, initiate lockdown protocols. "No one enters the fortress while I'm gone." The journey to the crash site was treacherous. K7's terrain was deliberately designed to be hostile. Ancient terraform engines had been used to create a landscape that would contain even the most determined escapees. The crimson rocks seemed to shift and move in the planet's perpetual twilight, while geothermal vents spewed toxic gases into the air. Reyna's speeder cut through the hazardous terrain with precision, its enhanced systems compensating for the planet's treacherous conditions. As she approached the crash site, her tactical display lit up with multiple warnings. The ships she had detected earlier were deploying ground forces, professional soldiers, not the usual bounty hunters or mercenaries who occasionally ventured to K7. The pod lay half buried in the red soil, its hull still smoking from entry. Reyna approached cautiously, her armor's sensors scanning for threats. The pod's design was unlike anything she had seen before, sleek, advanced, with markings in an ancient script she recognized from her military days. The same script had been found in the facility on Centaur Prime. The pod's hatch had been partially torn open by the impact. Inside, curled in a protective crash cocoon, was a small figure. A human girl with stark white hair and unusual markings on her visible skin, markings that seemed to pulse with a faint blue light. The girl's eyes snapped open as Reyna approached, revealing irises that shifted color like aurora storms. Fear, confusion, and something else, recognition, flashed across her face. "You're like the others," the girl whispered, her voice carrying an odd resonance. "But different. You're not here to hurt me." Before Reyna could respond, her tactical systems screamed a warning. Multiple vehicles were approaching, and fast. The ground forces had arrived. "We need to move," Reyna said, reaching for the girl. "Can you walk?" The girl nodded, then winced as she tried to stand. "My name is Tara. They said you would protect me." "Who said that?" "The voices. The ones in the stars." Tara's eyes unfocused slightly. "They said the Guardian would keep me safe." Guardian. A title Reyna hadn't heard in years, the formal designation for commanders of the stellar peacekeeping force. But how could this child know that? A plasma bolt struck the ground nearby, sending rocks and debris flying. The attack force had arrived, dozens of heavily armed soldiers in black armor, their helmets bearing no insignia or identification. Reyna's combat training took over. In one fluid motion, she scooped up Tara and activated her armor's shield generator. More plasma bolts peppered their position as she sprinted for her speeder. "Hold them off," a voice commanded through an amplified speaker. "The asset must be secured." Asset. The word sparked fury in Reyna's heart. She'd had seen too many lives reduced to assets by those in power. Not again. Not this child. She placed Tara in the speeder's protected compartment and spun to face their attackers. Her stellar blade hummed to life, its energy field expanding to combat configuration. "Commander," Nenel Villa's voice came through her comm system. "Additional forces are approaching from the north. Estimated 2 minutes until arrival." Reyna's mind raced through combat scenarios, calculating odds and options. The soldiers were well trained, their formations precise. But they were fighting on her territory, against an opponent who had nothing left to lose. "Tara," she called over her shoulder, deflecting plasma bolts with her blade. "Whatever happens, stay in the speeder. Its shields will protect you." The girl's response was drowned out by the sound of explosion as Reyna triggered the charges she had hidden throughout the valley years ago, just in case she ever needed to fight on this ground. Rocks rained down, cutting off the northern approach. The soldiers pressed forward, their weapons shifting to heavier artillery. They weren't trying to capture anymore. They were trying to kill. Reyna moved like liquid mercury, her blade a blur of energy as she cut through their ranks. Her armor's enhanced systems allowed her to anticipate their attacks, to move faster than any normal being could follow. But they kept coming, wave after wave. "Asset retrieval has failed," one of the soldiers reported into their comm. "Initiating protocol purge." The words sent a chill through Reyna's body. She had heard them before, on Centaur Prime, moments before the facility exploded. "No VA. Remote activate the speeder. Get Tara out of here." The speeder's engines roared to life, but Tara's voice cut through the chaos. "No, I can help." The girl stood in the speeder's compartment, her markings glowing brighter now. She raised her hands, and the air itself seemed to ripple. The soldiers' weapons suddenly went dead. Their armor systems flickered and failed, and in that moment of confusion, Reyna struck. Her blade carved through their ranks with surgical precision, not killing but disabling, removing them from the fight. Within moments, it was over. The remaining soldiers retreated, dragging their wounded with them. But Reyna knew this was only the beginning. She returned to the speeder, where Tara had collapsed, exhausted. The girl's markings had dimmed, but her eyes still swirled with color. "How did you do that?" Reyna asked, securing her in the seat. "I don't know," Tara whispered. "I just can. Like you can do what you do. We're the same, aren't we?" Reyna started the speeder, her mind racing. The girl's abilities, the ancient markings, the soldiers' desperate attempt to capture her, it all connected to what she had discovered 5 years ago, to the truth she had been forced to hide. As they sped toward her fortress, Reyna made a decision. She had chosen exile to protect her people. She had chosen silence to save lives. Now she would choose to protect this child, no matter the cost. The galaxy had changed in her absence, and not for the better. But perhaps, with this unexpected visitor, she could finally set things right. High above, the mysterious ships maintained their orbit, their presence a reminder that the battle was far from over. In her fortress, answers awaited. Answers about Tara, about Project Phoenix, and about the true nature of what was stirring in the depths of space. The game had changed, but this time Reyna Voss was ready to play. "Show me everything." Reyna's command echoed through her fortress's command center. 3 days had passed since Tara's arrival, and the mysterious ships still lurked in orbit, beyond the planet's defense grid. No VES displays came alive, projecting data streams about Project Phoenix. Tara sat nearby, her white hair gleaming under the holographic lights, watching the information flow with unnaturally keen understanding. "They made us," Tara said softly. "Not just me, you too." The revelation struck Reyna like a physical blow. The genetic markers in her own DNA, previously classified as Selenian mutations, matched patterns in Tara's genome. Both bore traces of ancient technology, what the project files called precursor enhancement. A proximity alert shattered the moment. "Incoming vessel," Nenel VA announced. "Recognition codes. Stellar Peacekeeping Force." The ship that landed outside the fortress bore the scars of battle. Its pilot, emerging with hands raised, was a face from Reyna's past. Commander Kane Wolf, her former second-in-command, supposedly killed in the Centauri Prime incident. "They told me you were dead," Reyna said, stellar blade humming at her side. Kane's cybernetic eye glowed faintly. "Technically, I was. The explosion, it should have killed us all. But Project Phoenix had other plans." He revealed the truth. Their team's deaths had been staged. The facility's destruction covered the transfer of test subjects, including him, to a secret installation. For 5 years, he had undergone enhancement procedures, watching others die as their bodies rejected the precursor modifications. "But you and the girl," he gestured to Tara, "you're different. Natural compatibles. The next evolution." The fortress sensors suddenly screamed warnings. The ships in orbit had begun their descent. Leading them was a vessel Reyna recognized, Admiral Thane's personal command ship. "They're here for both of you now," Kane said grimly. The project needs its assets back. Reyna's mind raced. The fortress's defenses were formidable, but they wouldn't hold forever. They needed a plan. Tara stepped forward, her markings pulsing. "I can see them," she whispered. "The others like us. They're screaming." The pieces clicked into place. The project hadn't just created weapons. They had started a new arms race, using living beings as test subjects. And now they had come to claim their property. The battle for truth and survival was about to begin. The fortress trembled under the first wave of orbital strikes. Admiral Thane's forces had surrounded Mount Terminus, their ships forming a blockade that turned the crimson sky black with shadow. "Your fortress is impressive, Commander Voss," Thane's voice boomed through the communication channels. "But even you must realize the futility of resistance." Reyna stood at her command center, Kane and Tara beside her. The fortress's shields held, but each impact drained precious power. Nuove's displays showed dozens of dropships deploying enhanced soldiers, more successful subjects of Project Phoenix. "They're wrong about us," Tara said, her eyes swirling with colors. "We're not weapons. We're the cure." Before Reyna could question this, alarms blared. From the settlements below, hundreds of heat signatures appeared. The prison planet's inhabitants, murderers, thieves, and exiles, were converging on the fortress. But they weren't attacking. They were forming a defensive line. Harv, the old trader who had survived 3 decades on K7, led them. "The beast kept us alive," his gravelly voice came through the comm. Time to return the favor. The battle erupted across multiple fronts. Enhanced soldiers clashed with hardened criminals. Orbital strikes met improvised explosive devices. And at the center, Reyna, Kane, and Tara prepared their counterattack. "The facility network," Kane explained, linking his cybernetics to NOVA. "Each Phoenix site is connected, if we can broadcast the truth." Tara's abilities had grown stronger. She reached out, interfacing with the fortress's systems in ways that shouldn't have been possible. "I can see the network, but we need to get closer." They made their decision. To save the future, they would have to confront their past. The hunt had begun, but this time they were the hunters. As Mount Terminus burned behind them, 3 figures emerged through the flames: an exiled commander, a cybernetic warrior, and a child who carried humanity's next evolution. They moved toward Thane's command ship, knowing that victory would require the ultimate sacrifice. The hunt was on, and the galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Thane's command ship loomed before them, a testament to military might. Inside, Reyna, Kane, and Tara fought their way through waves of enhanced soldiers. Their goal, the ship's broadcast center, capable of reaching every corner of the galaxy. "You don't understand what you're destroying," Thane's voice echoed through the corridors. "Project Phoenix is humanity's salvation. The precursors left us their legacy for a reason." Tara's abilities cleared their path, disrupting enemy weapons and systems. "The precursors didn't leave their technology as a gift," she called out. "They left it as a warning." Through her connection to the ancient network, Tara revealed the truth. The precursors had nearly destroyed themselves with their own enhancements. The technology wasn't meant to create weapons, but to heal, to repair the damage they had done to their species. They reached the broadcast center. Kane's cybernetics interfaced with the ship's systems, while Reyna held off enemy forces. Tara stood at the center of the room, her markings blazing with light. "Show them," Reyna commanded. "Show everyone." Through Tara's abilities and the ship's network, the truth spread across the galaxy. The secret facilities, the failed experiments, the true purpose of the precursor technology, all of it exposed. But Thane had one final card to play. He activated the ship's self-destruct sequence, threatening to take them all with him. Tara stepped forward, her power reaching new heights. The precursors learned to heal, not destroy. It's time we did the same. Energy pulsed from her, spreading through the ship. Where it touched, enhanced soldiers fell to their knees as their modifications reversed. Thane himself collapsed as the precursor elements in his body deactivated. The price of victory was high. The energy wave that saved them also burned out Tara's abilities. But she smiled, knowing she had fulfilled her purpose. In the aftermath, the galaxy changed. Project Phoenix's facilities were converted to healing centers. The enhanced were given a choice: keep their modifications or be restored. Reyna and Kane were pardoned, their names cleared. But they chose to stay on K7 with Tara, transforming the prison planet into a sanctuary for those seeking redemption. The fortress still stands atop Mount Terminus, no longer a place of exile, but a symbol of hope. And in its halls, 3 unlikely heroes found what they never expected: a family forged in the fires of revolution, and the peace that comes with fighting for what's right. The Precursor's legacy lived on, not as weapons of war, but as tools of healing, and in the end, that was the greatest redemption of all. The Guardian had found her true purpose, not in fighting wars, but in protecting the future, one life at a time.